Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Alliance's webinar series. Today's webinar, Expect Extraordinary, is coming to you live from Pittsfield, Illinois, featuring Aubrie and Michelle Westmus. We're so glad that you've joined us today. As a reminder, all attendees are in listen-only mode. If you want to communicate with us, please type in using your chat box. We will read your message out loud if you wish, and this webinar is also being recorded. So I see that some folks have raised their hand. I'm glad you're here with us today. To tell you a little bit about the Alliance, we are a statewide team of self-advocacy groups in Illinois. We work together to make our lives better in our communities and work to make services better in our state. We want groups from around the state to speak together with one loud voice. We truly have learned that we can do more when we all work together. Well, went too fast there for a minute. The Alliance is made up of 25 member groups all around the state of Illinois. No matter where you live, there is a member group near you. We have member groups up north in Zion, Illinois and McHenry. Our Chicago area is represented in Alsop, Brookfield, Chicago, Chicago Heights, Homewood, and Joliet. Over near Iowa, we have Rock Island. We also have member groups in Pontiac, LaSalle, Peru, Beardstown, Jacksonville, and Bloomington. Moving on down south, we have member groups in Decatur, Champaign, Monticello, and Charleston. And in the St. Louis Metro East area, we have member groups in Alton and in Edwardsville. So on behalf of the 25 member groups of the Alliance and all the self-advocates out there who speak up and speak out, welcome again to our webinar. And we'd like to start with a video featuring Aubrie. This video is called Extraordinary Ways, and we hope you enjoy it.
Oh, no ways. Hey, hey.
Whoop, whoop.
Here we go. You said I won't be on my own. You said I'll never leave my parents' home. I might do it. Who said I wouldn't have a choice? Who said I'll never have a voice? I do. And it might take a little work, and I might need a little help. So say a little prayer, I'm headed there. I am extraordinary, not ordinary, beautiful in every way. I've faced a lot of mountains, there may be more, but I'm learning to climb in extraordinary ways. You said I'll never go to work, you said my life will never have great worth. Everyone matters. Who said I don't deserve a chance? Cause if there's music we can dance and sing. And it might take a little work, and I might need a little help. So say a little prayer, I'm headed there. I am extraordinary, not ordinary, beautiful in every way. I've faced a lot of mountains, there may be more, but I'm learning to climb in extraordinary ways. I am extraordinary. extraordinary, not ordinary, beautiful in every way. I take the road of mountains, not many more, but I don't need to fly an extraordinary way.
I thought you came on right this time.
Way to go, Aubrie.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You did do that. How do you play that?
Oh, no ways.
So Aubrie, that was a wonderful video. Tell me, who else is in that video with you?
DJ Winston is playing the guitar. Maddie Palmer is the blonde, and she's in Wizard of Oz this weekend at our high school. And Maddie Davis is the person beside her, and she was a friend. Actually, they all were friends in drama club and church.
All right, so you know them from drama club and church, and together you guys came and you made a video, and it's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Well, so everyone can be extraordinary.
People with disabilities are just like everyone else. We want and need to be treated ordinary, but we do have some extras.
I like that we have extras.
I am like any 19-year-old student. I belong in all the places the other kids belong. I love music and drama. I'm involved in school, community, and church activities. I was the 2014 Illinois Transition Student of the Year. I started my own nonprofit with my mom, and I'm a keynote speaker. This is a pretty big deal because when I was born, the doctors didn't know if I'd see, hear, walk, talk, or eat.
Well, if only the doctors could see you now.
I've had doctor's appointments, medical procedures, surgeries, and therapies all my life. I've had some small surgeries and some really huge ones. I studied speech, OT, and PT when I was new in the hospital. I had a feeding tube till I was over a year old. Now, I love to eat almost everything, and I'm learning to cook. One weekend, when out-of-town family was visiting, I made everyone biscuits and gravy for breakfast. I signed my first rules at about age 2. I wasn't talking fully till kindergarten. Now, I'm a public speaker and perform in plays and musicals. I have a loving family who believes in me. They know all the things that make me awesome. When I was young, they met people who told them to have high expectations. My family believed I could do anything, and they made sure I had the opportunity and the chance to prove it. I have been in ordinary places with other kids my age. I've been in soccer, dance, karate, Girl Scouts, and church activities. I have been to drama camps and classes. In our small town, there are no special programs, so I'm included with everyone else. The coaches and leaders didn't always know how to include me, but we always figured it out.
So we work together to figure things out, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I have a busy life, much like any other young adult. I am now in the transition program at the Illinois School for the Visually Impaired, where I live in an apartment setting, and
use mass transit to take community college courses. I'm not here because I'm special or unique named Marian. I'm an example of the possibilities when we break barriers. There are other people like me climbing around the state and around the company. All of us can thrive if given the chance.
So Aubrie, are you saying that we are all possibilities looking for a place to happen?
Yeah.
I like that.
These are some friends of ours that are examples of people who've broken the barriers of low expectations and society's limitations. They're all around us. This is Billy, who has autism. He used his dreams to make a transition plan that led to driving and having a real paying job. This is Annie. Annie has Down syndrome. She and her personal network planned for her own vacations with friends, not with her parents. She lives in her own home and she has a paying job at an after-school program. Bridget also lives with Down syndrome. She works in a dental office and as a public speaker and advocate. She's even been in movies and on TV shows.
And I know that one of our member groups who has joined us today, CTF Advocacy Center in Charleston, actually recently went to a program where they got a chance to hear Bridget speak and meet Bridget.
Awesome. Bridget is all about dwelling in the possibilities. She's wonderful. She's actually the reason Aubrie and I started presenting together because Bridget was a great example for us to see.
Nice.
Jessie is a friend who uses a power chair. She's a dancer and a public speaker. She lives on her own and she traveled all the way to Israel alone. We see other examples like these friends in news and on social media, but none of the examples I shared happened without great intention. Every one of those people had a plan and they made on-purpose decisions all along the way. They've been included in their schools and communities. They all understand their place in the world. They know the challenges they face, but they also know the contributions that they can make.
So would you say that we all have to speak up and speak out and let people know what's important to us?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Every one of those friends were able to speak up and speak out about what they needed and what they wanted.
Nice.
If you don't, nothing gets done.
Awesome.
So how do we make it possible and break down those barriers?
Oh no, barriers. Here we go.
Yeah, they really are kind of bad for you.
Barriers are bad for you. Yes, they are. So everything starts with recognizing your gifts, your strengths, and talents that can be used to move forward, and also recognizing those extra needs that need to be met in order to be successful. We have extra gifts and extra challenges. We got a lot of extras.
So we're going to ask you all out there. This is where you get to type in using your control panel and let us know, what are your gifts and strengths? What are your talents? What's something that's unique to you that the world needs? What are your gifts and talents? Use your control panel, type it in, and we'll read them out loud. We know that we all have gifts and talents, and we need to share those with the world. So let us know.
You know what one of Aubrey's gifts and talents in high school was? This is kind of funny. Her friends that were in the video, her friends in the video know she was the kid in the class who always had a question or an answer for the teacher. She's the one who always raised her hand and the one who always had her homework done.
All right. Well, you know, I like, Aubrie, that you always had questions because it just tells me that you want to learn more. When we have questions, it means I'm interested. I want to find out more. That's one way that people can speak up and speak out by asking a question.
You kind of need to in school because otherwise it might be a boring life.
All right. So here we go. Heather from Self-Advocates of Lake County in Zion says, I have good communication skills. That's her gift and talent. Heather, I would agree.
Oh, yeah.
And Maria, her gift and talent is being a good singer.
Ooh.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Does anybody else have any gifts and talents that they would like to share? Go ahead and use your control panel to type them in. We'll read them out loud. So gifts and talents. So let me ask Michelle. Michelle, what's one of your gifts and talents?
I make a really awesome coffee cake.
Yes.
Oh, an awesome coffee cake. Well, you know, this is Christine, and one of my gifts and talents is making a really awesome gooey butter cake.
Oh, man.
Oh, wow.
We would be a bad combination.
Oh, or we'd be an awesome combination.
If you want to be healthy, we're not the ones to hang with.
Well, you know, everything in moderation.
Not a lot of tofu and vegetables happening in my house.
No, probably not. Well, we started with gifts, strengths, and talents. So let's see where the journey takes us next. Oh, hold on a second. We had somebody else that chimed in. So from Livingston County Advocates in Action in Pontiac, someone has a gift and talent of karate and traveling. And Heather with Self-Advocates of Lake County in Zion, she also writes poetry. So in addition to being a good communicator, she's also a poet. Thank you all for sharing. You help bring these webinars to life. So let's see what happens next.
So people's passions and dreams, those are the things that tell us the direction to take. Our passions are what motivates us and makes life meaningful.
So what are your passions and dreams? What do you dream of doing or having or experiencing? This is another opportunity for you to type in using your control panel, and we will read them out loud. And while you're thinking about that, we have some other gifts and talents that people want to share. Maria with Self-Advocates of Lake County has great ambition. Oh, I like that, Maria. Great ambition is something that I think is going to work really well for you in your life. Lisa from RGA Council, Ray Graham Association, she's a great actress. So Aubrie, there's another actress out there. That's awesome. And Ray of Hope Self-Advocates from Chicago Heights. Their group takes pride in being hard workers and setting leadership examples at their day program.
Awesome.
So what a great gift and talent to be a hard worker and setting leadership examples. Maria from Self-Advocates of Lake County, she dreams of living on her own and keeping a clean, neat apartment.
That's the kind of roommate I'd want if I shared this apartment.
All right. Thank you, Maria, for sharing that dream. Does anybody else have a dream or a passion that they want to share? And we know that dreams come in all shapes and sizes, just like people. And you can never have too many or too few.
And you know, my friend David Weatherow, who's on the webinar today, he says it like this: what would you like to see come alive in your community?
Wow. What would you like to see come alive in your community? That is awesome. We might have to do a webinar just about that.
Right.
Just about that. Well, we have some other folks that are chiming in. So Heather from Self-Advocates of Lake County in Zion says her passion is to educate people with disabilities.
Awesome.
And I know that Heather has done some of that. And she actually did a webinar earlier this year.
Nice.
And some folks at Livingston County Advocates in Action in Pontiac said, get to be an instructor at a school and also to travel the country. So we have some traveling people out there. And from CTF Illinois Advocacy in Charleston, John dreams of helping others. I like that. Thank you, John. All right, so let's see. We have our gifts and needs, and then we have our dreams and passions, and something tells me there's another step on this journey.
Those lead to possibilities, and we focus on the possibilities. What might be possible if we always move in the direction of the dream, using our strengths in places where they're valued, in places where people care about the same things and appreciate the contributions we can make.
All right, well, let's see what other contributions that people have given us.
Yay.
From CTF Advocacy in Charleston, Terry dreams of selling or fixing car parts. Ooh, that's nice because you know what? We all need a good mechanic in our life.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Terry, for sharing that.
Even if you can't drive, we kind of need a good one.
That's right.
You need a vehicle that goes no matter who drives.
That's right.
Nurture your gifts and make good use of your passions. I've always loved music. My teachers sometimes let me choose assignments, study topics related to Broadway musicals. For the Shakespeare unit, I created playbills from Shakespeare's plays. If the only choice was to do a written report, I may have not been as successful. The playbill here is from a show we recently saw that is a parody of Shakespeare. Sometimes I had to explain to my mom the meaning of the jokes. So don't say kids with disabilities don't need Shakespeare.
You know, we all have different things that interest us, and that's great. That is the spice of life. Let's see what someone has wanted to share. Oh, Amanda from CTF, Illinois in Charleston said, I dream of doing Zumba dance. Nice. I dream of trying Zumba dance too. I hope that someday, Miranda, maybe when I come to visit you and I can Zumba together.
My vision is the lighthouse that guides your path. Will each choice take you closer to your dream or further away? So the first step is to figure out the dream, and it has to be the person's dream, not the parents or anyone else's dream for them.
So it has to be your dream, right?
Yeah.
Or Miranda's dream, or Terry's dream, or Heather's dream, or Maria's dream. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Absolutely. But you know, I'm a parent, and I know that when Aubrie was young, and when our kids are young, parents speak for them. And sometimes parents continue to speak for their adult children if they're not able to speak for themselves. So it's appropriate for parents to hold the dream for their children. I still hold dreams for both of my kids, even though my older son is in his 20s. Even when older children are unable to communicate in traditional ways, we know what they like and dislike. So we have to be alert for clues to dreams and passions.
Assume that we all have hopes and dreams. Your job is to discover them and uncover them. Even my typical friends needed a career guidance to discover their gifts and dreams. Of course, people with disabilities do too. But you may have to dig deeper and be more creative to find them.
So self-advocates have dreams, and it's up to parents and family members and staff and allies to help them discover them.
Exactly.
And support those dreams. So they can be their cheerleaders then, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to have a lot of experience to figure out what your dreams are, because you have to know about something to hope to do it, right? So you have to get out there and do things and see what's available in the world.
And if you don't have a dream and a plan, how will you get where you're going?
Well, for those of us who are mature, you may recognize some of these destinations and how to get there because they are in the form of songs, and we're not going to sing them for you, but to get to nowhere, you got to take the road. You can get anywhere on the midnight train, or you can even get to Georgia on the midnight train.
Midnight train to Georgia.
You can take the last train to Clarksville, or the stairway to heaven, or the highway to hell. Oops. And on a dark desert highway, you might just get to the Hotel California. So we're just seeing if you're awake out there.
On the way from disability to possibility, there are a lot of obstacles. My disability presents its own challenges, and I can't get rid of those. I face discrimination from society. I face fears of my own, my parents, my staff. Sometimes it's hard to get the supports I need. And most of the time, people assume I can't do much. What obstacles in your way of achieving your dreams?
So we all have obstacles that stand in our way of achieving our dreams. So we're going to open it up to you. What are the obstacles that stand in your way? What are the bricks that make up the brick wall that stands in the way of you taking those steps to achieve your dreams? So you may want to talk about it. Go ahead and type it in using your control panel and we'll read them out loud. So Aubrie, you said that fears are one of your obstacles and discrimination. Do you have any other obstacles?
Speech, possibly sometimes.
Okay, so sometimes people might have difficulty understanding you.
Yeah.
But you know what I found?
But it's tiny. Like,
yeah.
It's not this big thing.
It's not. And the more time we spend together, the easier it is for me to understand. So sometimes it's about taking time.
Yeah.
Michelle, what are some of your fears that stand in the way of you achieving your dreams?
Well, sometimes it's just fear that I'm going to fail.
Yeah.
You know, because nobody really likes to fail. But what I found is I learn from every failure. And I've noticed that when all of us, like when you're hanging around with your friends, telling stories and laughing, it's kind of always about the things you failed at and you laugh about it now and learn from it. It's kind of funny. So I don't like to fail and I kind of am afraid of it, but then it always turns out okay.
And sometimes experience is the best teacher.
Yeah.
That we got a chance to try and maybe it didn't turn out the way that we wanted it to or that somebody else expected it to, but we learned something along the way. And so Heather from Self-Advocates of Lake County, these are some of the obstacles that she faces, that her parents and her peers have low expectations of her. And another obstacle is Heather's need for physical support. So sometimes those things, the expectations and the need for physical support, stand in the way of her achieving her dreams. Well, I can tell you sometimes the obstacle that stands in my way is time. I have a lot of things that I'd like to do, but there's just not enough hours in the day. So I really need to sit down and map out a plan and say, if it's important to me, I am going to make some time in my day.
For a minute, I thought it would be technology not working.
Well, and sometimes technology not working. We have certainly experienced that before, but today it's working just fine. So let's see what happens next.
Too many people have no idea what they can do because all they've been told is what they can't do. To overcome low expectations, we need to focus on gifts, talents, and strengths. And learn how to house them. Ask questions to help you think about gifts and strengths.
And that's one of the things that Heather shared, that some people have low expectations of her. And that's one of the obstacles she faces.
Yeah.
And here's what some other self-advocates said. From Livingston County Advocates in Action in Pontiac, they said, wanting a job, but not enough jobs out there. That's a brick in the wall. And not enough money, and also getting hurt.
Oh,
yeah, those are all things that can stand in our way. So thank you for sharing them. I'm sorry that you experienced them, but sometimes we have to name it and claim it, and then figure out what are we going to do about that.
What are we going to do to make it possible? That's what we say. What are we going to do to make it possible?
So what are we going to do?
Here's some questions you can ask yourself, or if you're a parent or a staff person, you can ask when you're thinking about the person you care about and you're trying to help them discover gifts. So one question you can ask is, what do you love to do?
What are you most curious about?
What brings out the very best in you? What puts a sparkle in your eye?
What do others say you give them?
How do you make a positive difference?
What do you choose to do when you spend time?
And as a mom, I like this one. What do you do without being asked or reminded?
Be observant and listen.
I like that. What do you do without being asked or reminded? That's, how do you choose to fill your time? If you have some free time, what is really important to you to do? But let's go back just a minute, because CTF Advocacy Center in Charleston, Illinois said one of the obstacles that they face is a lack of resources. So sometimes there's resources, whether it's money or staff resources or transportation, or, just there's not as many maybe restaurants to go to in our town. So sometimes the lack of resources are an obstacle.
Yeah, we're here in Pittsfield, where it's a very rural, small town, so we understand that lack of resources. And we have to do a lot of creative thinking about how are we going to make it possible? What is in our community that we can use to make up for the things that are missing?
Oh, hey, Kathleen, thank you so much. Kathleen is from CTF Advocacy Center in Charleston, Illinois. And what you asked, Michelle, what do you do without being asked or reminded? Kathleen says, I like to do the dishes.
Oh boy. One of our friends here in Pittsfield very recently got a job at the grocery store doing the dishes in the deli. That'd be a job that Catherine would like.
Maybe so.
And
All
it's
right.
funny because one of another friends that we know, the first time she came here, she loves cleaning. And she looks inside a laundry room and she's like,
Well, yeah, a new friend we were exploring her strengths. She came in and said, I really like to clean, and looks like you need help.
There you
and
go.
She did help me, and it was wonderful because I don't clean.
Yeah.
So we need to accept all the dreams, big and small, even if they seem unrealistic. Sometimes parents and staff especially want to say that a dream seems unrealistic, but that's what dreams are. Dreams are dreams. There's no limit to dreams. And we want to try to think about the underlying reasons for the dream. What about the dream is so appealing? What's important about it? So don't burst your own bubble, and don't let anyone else burst it either. Figure out what piece of the dream you can experience right now, and then work in the direction of the dream. Like Aubrey's big dream
is theater. I want to be on Broadway.
She wants to be on Broadway and win a Tony. So we're not going to do that tomorrow or today, but today we can perform by doing presentations.
Yeah, and you guys can't see me, so it's like I'm doing a movie.
Oh, so it's like we're doing a movie. Yeah.
Nice. Well, so performing is something that you do without being asked or told. And Heather from Heather from Self-Advocates of Lake County in Zion said, I give myself medication without being asked.
Yes.
And I do it without waiting around for help. I get it done. And Maria makes the bed up and cleans the room without being told. So
nice.
Thank you for sharing that.
There are plenty of people ready to tell us what we can't do, why we can't be what everyone else is. We need you to encourage us, to believe in us, and to demand that others do too. We need to expect more from ourselves in spite of what we hear from others.
So what we want are encouragers. We want cheerleaders. We want people to say, you can do it. I believe in you. Because you know what? We already have enough bubble bursters.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much.
And if you're a self-advocate, you need to always believe in yourself and expect that others do too. Don't take anything less than respect.
In elementary school, I just couldn't remember my basic math facts. We didn't give up and say I couldn't do math. My parents had shown the dream that I would be able to go to college one day. So we didn't want to close any doors of that possibility. They asked, how can she continue to make progress in math, even if she can't remember the facts? I began using a calculator for computations. Now I do algebra and geometry, but I still use the calculator. I just now started a college math where we weren't allowed to use a calculator during the first semester. I've learned to do some computations in my head.
All right. Well, math is not one of my gifts and talents. So whenever I meet someone who does have some gift and talent in that area, I bow down. And John from CTF Advocacy in Charleston wanted to share with us, he wakes up without having to be reminded. He's ready to get on with the day and see what it has to hold for him. So thank you, John.
Assume competence and then make it possible. Let go of limiting ideas. Instead of saying can't, ask what will I do to make it possible. When I wanted to do stand-up comedy for a local festival talent contest, my mom used her projector and laptop to project captions on the wall, in case the audience didn't understand my speech. I was a big hit.
Well, all right, and I like that. Instead of saying can't, say, what do I need to make that possible? Mm-hmm. And don't be shy about sharing with people what you need.
And if other people tell you, I'm sorry, we can't do that, say, well, what would it take? Yeah. What would it take to make it possible?
All right.
And that's a polite way to not take no for an answer.
There you go. Don't let them burst your bubble.
Assume that self-advocates can participate and contribute at work, at home, in the community, and in the womb. Then figure out how to make it possible. Get rid of the obstacle of low expectations. And then we can start to see through the brick wall that stands in our way.
I'm starting to see some light through that brick wall.
Self-advocacy is important. It's not what you do for your children, but what you taught them to do for themselves. That will make them successful human beings. Anne Landon said that about all kids. And it applies to kids with disabilities too. It's important that self-advocates expect to be treated with dignity and respect. We have to know how to stick up for ourselves. We have to understand differences and know how to ask for what we need. We have to know our dreams and goals and be able to make them happen. Learn self-advocacy and help others learn it too.
So speaking up and speaking out, I know that a lot of Alliance folks know that one. That's really important. Self-advocacy is important.
Include self-advocates in their lives. When I was young, my mom would ask me about 3 things that were working well for me and 3 things that I needed some help with. Then she'd share those with my team at the beginning of the meeting.
These are IAP meetings way back then.
Later, I went and told the team those things myself at the start of the meeting. Then went back to class so I didn't have to listen to all of the discussion. Now I stay for my whole meeting and I'm a big part of the discussion. Then the summer before I started high school, I did a training for my teachers to help them understand my needs. My mom had to work that day, so she didn't come. So self-advocacy should be a part of every self-advocate's meeting in their life. It's not always automatic, so it takes a total effort from the team.
All right, so if you are a member of a team, make sure that you're encouraging the self-advocate to speak up and speak out. Encourage other people at the meeting to listen when the self-advocate speaks up and speaks out. And self-advocates, you need to speak up and speak out. Remember, we have to work together to make these things happen.
And remember too, if you have a plan, an ISP or an IEP, if you have self-advocacy skills that you're working on, that can be an actual goal.
Sure.
Remember, don't let you do what you do. What you can't do, stop you from doing what you can do. My friend Jessica doesn't let her wheelchair stop her from dancing. I don't let my speech difficulties stop me from performing in public speaking. Understand your needs and make it possible.
And we had a self-advocate from Livingston County, Advocates in Action in Pontiac. When we're talking about self-advocacy and speaking up and speaking out, the self-advocate said, my goal would be having the support for finding work and job.
Yeah.
So yeah, speaking up about that, saying, I want to find work, I want to find job, and I need support. And putting it out there, letting people know is very important. We also had another self-advocate that wanted to share that I clean my room and I take my medicine without having to be reminded. So thank you very much for speaking up and speaking out and sharing those with us.
To parents, family members, and staff, understanding self-advocates' needs. Self-advocates understand your own needs. Know how to get the support you need to make your dreams possible. When you understand your needs, you remove another block in the wall that keeps you from reaching your dreams.
Well, I'm starting to see some light behind that wall.
Life is like candy. Sometimes it's sweet and sometimes it's sour. Everyone needs to experience the sweet and sour. Everyone deserves the opportunity to try, to fail, and to try again. We don't protect other people from possible failure. Let's not protect people with disabilities so much that they are never challenged enough to grow. Help us to try, to fail, to accept our failures, and learn from them.
I hear people say they worry about setting self-advocates up for failure, but learning happens when we're stretched and challenged. So we need to allow self-advocates to stretch and to challenge themselves just as we do everyone else. We need to find that sweet spot where the magic happens. And fear can trap us in our comfort zone, and no magic happens in our comfort zone.
No, it doesn't.
Don't accept anyone's negative predictions, not even the experts. Let go of what you think you know about people like me. Given the chance, we can do more than you imagine. We can be friends, neighbors, and co-workers, tax-paying citizens who contribute to our communities.
And remember to tell yourself, I can do it.
So allow us to try to go the stretch. Allow us to take the risks that make our dreams possible.
And self-advocates, don't be afraid to take a risk.
Allow dignity of risk. Failure is important if we're going to be successful. When we remove the feeling of failure as a brick, we can really see through the brick wall of our dreams.
Oh man, I think we could almost climb through that blank space right there to get to our dreams.
If we didn't eat too much coffee.
If we were a mouse figure.
If we were a mouse, yeah.
A community that excludes even one member is no community at all. Create a culture in our agencies, organizations, and communities where everyone belongs. Everyone contributes and everyone has value. Encourage and support self-advocates to make friends. Some people may need help to make friends. My aide was helpful with my friendships. She knew when to help and when to step aside and when to bring a friend to help me. The best part of life's journey is who you get to share it with. We know that social capital, connections are often the key to success. helping self-advocates to build connections with people who share their interests, value their gifts, and recognize their contributions. Well, the people who care about the same things.
The people who care about the same things are out there. We just need to go discover them.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
They could be at the St. Louis Muni.
They could be at the St. Louis Muni. You just never know where those connections are going to happen. So be aware of the possibilities.
Help build connections. When we have friends and make a contribution in our community, we're less likely to face discrimination. Another brick on the wall that has been removed.
Ooh, those bricks are going, but I see one brick left.
When we overcome the obstacles of disability seems less important. When we remove the bricks of obstacles that stand in the way of our dreams, we can see the path forward. Now, we can choose to walk through the wall and push it down.
Yeah, it doesn't seem so daunting now, does it?
No. But Alex said, unless someone like you cares an awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. You can make a difference. By being inclusive, respectful agencies, organizations, and communities.
By breaking barriers.
By giving everyone else the opportunity to belong and to make a contribution.
By finding gifts, recognizing dreams, and asking, what will it take to make it possible?
By assuming competence, understanding needs, allowing the dignity, risk, and building connections.
And by creatively following dreams to plan for an extraordinary life. Dreams don't always take us where we've been before. Sometimes we have to repack our luggage and be prepared to go where dreams take us.
Yeah.
New places.
Nelson Mandela said, it always seems impossible until it's done. Expect the extraordinary and ask, how can we make it possible?
I like that. How can we make it possible? How about we just take a moment and let's all say that together. 1, 2, 3. How can we make it possible? Let's try it again, because that's not something that we have always known to ask when someone tells us that we can't, or they've tried to burst our bubble. So again, we're going to say, how can we make it possible? 1, 2, 3. How can we make it possible? All right. So we've come to that time in our webinar where we open it up for questions, comments, and contributions. So if you have a question you'd like to ask, a comment you'd like to make, or a contribution you'd like to share, go ahead and use your control panel, type it in, and we'll read it out loud. Maybe we'll answer the question. So again, do you have a question to ask, a comment to share, or a contribution to give? Let us know. Use your control panel to type in the information. While you're doing that, I just want to share, a lot of people may want to know how to contact Aubrie and Michelle. So Michelle can be reached at michelle@expectextraordinary.org. Their website is expectextraordinary.org. You can find Expect Extraordinary on Facebook, and they also are on Twitter. So there's lots of different ways that you can find Expect Extraordinary and connect with Aubrie and Michelle.
You can actually do all of them. You don't have to pick just one.
Oh, yeah.
You can connect on Facebook and Twitter.
There you go. Oh, CTF Advocacy Center in Charleston says, we absolutely loved this webinar. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
And we say thank you for joining us this morning, because it's not so much fun if there's nobody listening.
Right.
Yeah.
We've loved bringing this webinar to you. So CTF Advocacy Center in Charleston, thank you for being there with us on this journey this morning.
And we can come see you at one point if you want.
Oh, there you go.
Aubrie likes to go and talk to people in person.
Well, you know, you did talk about about packing the bags and going wherever he takes you.
Well,
You
we
put it
might
out
even
there.
talk about something else.
We could talk about something else.
Well, there you go. And
Lots of topics.
we can learn about each other and these connections. So Livingston County Advocates in Action in Pontiac, Illinois said, you did a wonderful job on the webinar. We really liked it.
Thank you.
Now, I know you can't see us as presenters, but Aubrie has a big smile when I read that
Yeah.
people are liking what they heard and saw. So thank you, Livingston County Advocates in Action, for sharing that contribution. Again, if you have a question, comment, or contribution, go ahead and use your control panel to type it in, and we'll share it. While we're waiting for that, Michelle, do you have any final thoughts?
You know, I guess my final thought, as Aubrey's mom, I just know how very different her life would have been if we didn't have people who helped us think about possibilities.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm really thankful for that. And I think that all of us who get it need to be sure we share with other families and parents of new kids who have challenges, so that as early as possible, we're thinking about possibilities and dreams and making a plan so that everybody can have a really great future.
And for those of us who are allies, we can do the same thing. We want to challenge new staff and new allies to look at the possibilities and to not be bubble bursters. Just as Michelle said that for parents, allies, we need to do that with other staff. And sometimes with the self-advocates. Sometimes as a self-advocate, we burst our own bubble. And we need to remind self-advocates of their magnificence. So here's a question for you, Aubrie.
Okay.
Heather from Livingston County, or not Livingston, my bad, from Self-Advocates of Lake County in Zion, Illinois says, what should you do when a fellow teammate doesn't listen to what self-advocates want to do? So what if someone maybe isn't a bubble burster, but they're not listening to a self-advocate and to their dreams?
You can move on.
Well, what if
Sometimes
it's a
it's
paid
hard.
staff and you really can't move on?
Yeah.
What can you do?
Sometimes people really do
You
seem
can
to.
talk to them alone privately another time.
Oh, maybe you could talk to them and let them know, you know, this is really important to me, and it kind of hurts me when you don't listen and you don't believe in me.
Yeah, maybe after the meeting.
Okay.
Maybe after the meeting.
So maybe having a conversation and just coming to a deeper understanding with that person.
Yeah, because
Okay.
you don't want to like them. Like, you don't want to not like them because
Okay.
they help you.
Well, that's true. And sometimes they may just not be aware.
Yeah,
Maybe they just don't get it yet, and you need to just be gentle and help them understand.
yeah,
Sometimes I think people do get in a situation where they're just sort of stuck. Because if you have, I have some friends who maybe their parent is their guardian, and or maybe their staff who, you know, you kind of, maybe you can't find a possibility, a way to get rid of that brick right now. Maybe you need to make a plan to chip away at it.
Okay.
Sometimes it takes time.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
Yeah, it does. And sometimes it takes hard work.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I know you guys have it in you to do the work, to do the hard work, and to keep on saying yes when other people say no, and to keep on saying, what will it take to make it happen when other people try to burst your bubble?
And if there's one, you know, keep finding the people who say yes. Keep looking
Oh.
for
yeah.
new connections. If there's one teammate who doesn't get it,
you can put
there's
another
other
one.
people on the team. How can you reach out to the other team members to help get that person to understand?
And maybe the other team members after a little while can help you find a new team member to replace that other
Right.
team member.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, another thing, I talked about David Weatherow, who's listening to the webinar.
And
One of
he
the
hasn't
other,
said anything.
well, because he's on mute, he can't.
I know.
Sorry, Dave.
But
But you know, he's taught us to think about who else can we invite? Who else would be important to this conversation that we could bring in? So if we're talking about someone who wants to be involved in drama, and I don't know anything about drama, and she's saying, I want to do it, and someone on the team is saying, well, that's not possible. We say, well, who could we invite to talk with us? So is there a drama coach or a director or somebody that we could invite to our next meeting who might help us think about this?
Kaylin Spencer.
So yeah, we invited the drama coaches from our local high school to be on Aubrie's team because they helped us think of things we didn't know about, like a really cool camp in the summertime we went to in St. Louis. We wouldn't have known, but they helped us think about things like that. So inviting new people and thinking about where can I find the people that will say yes and help me think about possibilities.
Well, I am going to allow Aubrie to have the final word here at our webinar before we sign off for the day. So, Aubrie, what are the final words you'd like to share with folks?
Thank you for coming and share this with people because people need to know about this.
Yeah, so on behalf of the Alliance, I would like to thank each of you who have come. I'd especially like to thank Aubrie and Michelle for sharing their gifts and talents and letting us know that we can all expect the extraordinary in our lives. Yes, that life is full of many possibilities and we deserve to have the extraordinary in our lives.
Absolutely.
So again, on behalf of the Alliance, the 25 Alliance member groups and all the self-advocates around Illinois who speak up and speak out in one loud voice, thank you so much for all you do. Bye-bye.
Yay. Bye.